I need you to stop for the next 20 seconds and really hear what I am about to say, because this is not a general message and this is not something I am saying to everyone. I am saying this specifically to you, the one who has been feeling something stirring inside them that they cannot fully name, a restlessness, a sense that the version of yourself you have been living as is no longer the full picture, a quiet but persistent knowing that something is shifting in the deepest parts of who you are. And what I need you to understand before anything else is that what you are feeling is real. It is not anxiety. It is not confusion. It is the first sign of a transformation so complete, so thorough, so total, that when it finishes, the person looking back at you from the mirror is going to be someone you recognize in your spirit, but barely recognize in the natural. Stay with me until the very end, because what I am about to walk you through is the most important thing happening in your life right now, and you need to understand all of it. I am speaking to you, the one who has been quietly outgrowing themselves for longer than they have been willing to admit. You have felt it. The old responses that used to come automatically are starting to feel wrong before they even leave your mouth. The things that used to bring comfort are no longer reaching the place that needs comfort. The version of yourself that you have been presenting to the world, the one built from years of adapting and performing and surviving, is starting to feel like a coat that no longer fits. Not because something is wrong with you, because something is growing in you that the old coat cannot contain. That growth is me working. Type amen if you have been feeling like you are outgrowing a version of yourself that no longer fits. I want to tell you something about transformation that most people misunderstand. They think transformation is about addition, about gaining new things, new habits, new characteristics layered on top of what already exists. But real transformation, the kind I am doing in you right now, is not addition. It is excavation. It is the removal of everything that was placed over who you truly are, the fear that taught you to make yourself small, the shame that convinced you that your real self was too much or not enough, the survival mechanisms that were necessary once but have now become the very walls that keep you from the life that is waiting for you. I am not building a new person over the top of the old one. I am uncovering the person who was always there underneath everything that life layered over them. The real you, the full you, the version of you that existed in my mind before the world got to you and started shaping you according to its own needs and fears and limitations. That person is extraordinary, and you are about to meet them properly for the first time. Type 777 if you believe the truest version of yourself is still inside you waiting to emerge. I want to walk you through what this transformation is actually going to touch, because I need you to understand that it is comprehensive. It is not going to be a surface adjustment. It is not going to be a new routine or a new mindset tip or a new way of presenting yourself to the world. It is going to go all the way down to the foundation of how you understand yourself and how you move through everything around you. The first thing it is going to touch is how you see yourself when no one is watching, in the private moments, in the quiet of your own mind where you have been your own harshest critic for longer than you can remember, where the voice that speaks to you about your worth and your capability and your future has often been darker than anything anyone else has said to you out loud. That internal voice is being transformed. Not silenced completely because you need a relationship with your inner world, but it is being recalibrated. The harshness is being replaced with something that sounds more like truth. And the truth about who you are is so much kinder than what that voice has been telling you. You are going to begin to experience yourself with a gentleness that has been missing, a capacity to acknowledge your struggles without defining yourself by them, a way of holding your own story that honors everything you have been through without letting it become the ceiling of what you are capable of becoming. Type 111 to declare that you receive a new and truthful inner voice that speaks life over you. The second thing this transformation is going to touch is your courage. Not the performed kind that you have been mustering through gritted teeth when life required you to push through. Real courage. The kind that does not require you to override fear every single time, but rather the kind that comes from a settled certainty about who you are and whose you are. Courage that does not feel like a battle cry, but feels more like a quiet resolution. Like a door inside you that swings open easily now because the thing that was barring it from the inside has been removed. You are going to find yourself doing things that the previous version of you would have talked yourself out of. Not recklessly, but with a confidence that surprises even you. You are going to speak when you used to stay silent. You are going to step forward when you used to wait for permission. You are going to ask for what you need and want and deserve without the elaborate internal negotiation that used to precede every request. The courage that is emerging in you is not borrowed. It is yours. It has always been in there, and it is finally being freed. Type yes if you are ready to walk in a courage you have never fully accessed before. The third thing this transformation is going to touch is your relationships. And this one is important to hear clearly because transformation always changes the relational landscape around a person, and I do not want you to be caught off guard when it happens. As you transform, some relationships are going to naturally fall away, not through conflict or drama necessarily, but through a quiet incompatibility that emerges when who you are becoming no longer aligns with what those connections were built on. Some connections were built on a version of you that needed to be needed in a particular way. Some were built on a dynamic that required you to stay small so that someone else could feel big. Some were simply connections of convenience that served a season but were never meant to be permanent. As the real you emerges, those connections will begin to feel increasingly misaligned. And that feeling is not something to fight. It is information. It is your transformed self recognizing what belongs in your life and what does not, with a clarity that the previous version of you did not always have access to. What replaces what leaves is going to be of a different quality entirely. Connections built on the real you rather than the performed you. Relationships that can hold the full weight of who you actually are without requiring you to edit or minimize or manage yourself to maintain them. Type 222 to trust God to realign your relationships as your transformation unfolds. I also want to speak about what this transformation is going to do to the way you carry your past, because this is one of the most significant shifts and one of the most freeing. You have been carrying your history in a way that has given it more authority over your present than it deserves. The things that happened to you, the ways you were failed, the choices you made that you wish you could take back, the versions of yourself that you are not proud of, all of it has been sitting in a place inside you where it has had an ongoing influence on how you see yourself and what you believe is possible for you. The transformation that is happening is going to change your relationship with your past, not by erasing it. Your story is your story, and every part of it shaped you into someone worth knowing, but by shifting its position, moving it from the place where it has been functioning as an authority over your present and placing it where it actually belongs, which is behind you. Part of your story, not the author of your future. You are going to begin to tell your own story differently, not dishonestly, but from a different vantage point. The vantage point of someone who went through something and came out of it, rather than someone who is still inside it. That shift in perspective is going to change how much power the past has over the decisions you make going forward. Type 333 to declare that your past no longer has authority over your future. There is something else I want to address, and it is the fear that comes with transformation even when the transformation is good. Change, even welcome change, even change you have been longing for, carries an element of grief. Because who you have been, even the parts of yourself you are ready to release, is familiar. And familiar is comfortable even when it is limiting, even when it is painful, even when it stopped serving you a long time ago. You may feel moments of strange grief as this transformation unfolds. A mourning for the version of yourself you are leaving behind even while you are genuinely ready to leave them behind. That grief is not a sign that something is going wrong. It is a sign that something real is happening. You are not shedding a costume. You are releasing an entire way of being that you have inhabited for years. That deserves to be acknowledged even as you move through it and beyond it. Give yourself permission to feel it, and then give yourself permission to keep moving forward anyway. Grief and growth can coexist. You do not have to have finished mourning the old before you begin inhabiting the new. Type amen if you give yourself permission to grieve what you are releasing while still moving forward into who you are becoming. The world is about to encounter a version of you that it has not seen before. People who have known you for years are going to notice something different and not always be able to articulate what it is. There will be something in the way you carry yourself. Something in the steadiness of your eye contact, something in the way you speak about yourself and your life that carries a weight and a clarity that was not always there before. They will feel it even if they cannot name it. not. Some of them will celebrate it. They will be drawn to the fuller version of you in a way that deepens the connection between you. Others will be unsettled by it because your transformation will hold up a mirror to their own unlived potential, and that mirror is not always comfortable to look into. How people respond to your transformation will tell you a great deal about where those relationships truly stand. Do not shrink yourself to manage other people's discomfort with your growth. You did not grow for their comfort. You grew because I was growing you, and that growth is sacred and it is not negotiable. Stand in who you are becoming, fully, without apology. Type 444 to declare that you will not shrink yourself to accommodate anyone's discomfort with your transformation. Stay with me for part 2, because what comes next is the part about what your transformed life actually looks like in the practical world and what specific things are already changing as this process unfolds. I am continuing, and I want to start part 2 by speaking about something very specific, which is the moment you will first truly recognize that the transformation has happened. It is not going to be a dramatic announcement. It is not going to feel the way transformation looks in stories where there is a clear before and a clear after separated by a single defining moment. It is going to be quieter than that, more personal, more intimate. It is going to be an ordinary moment. You are going to be in a situation that would have triggered the old version of you in a very predictable way. Maybe it is a conversation that would have made you shrink. Maybe it is a decision that would have made you freeze. Maybe it is an opportunity that would have made you talk yourself out of it before you even fully considered it. And instead of responding the way you always have, something different is going to come out of you. A steadiness, a clarity, a response that comes from a deeper and more grounded place than the reactive, fear-driven place that the old patterns used to pull from. And in that moment, you are going to pause, and you are going to recognize yourself in a way you have not before. Not the performed self, the real one, the one that has been emerging through everything I have been doing in you. That moment is coming, and it is going to be one of the most quietly powerful moments of your life. Type 111 to declare that you are ready for the moment you recognize who you have truly become. I want to talk about your purpose in the context of this transformation, because the two are deeply connected. The reason I am transforming you is not cosmetic. I am not simply making you feel better about yourself for the sake of your comfort. I am transforming you because the version of you that exists on the other side of this process is the version that can fully carry what I placed you on this earth to do. The old version, as good and faithful and genuine as they were, was operating at a fraction of the capacity that is actually available to you. Not because they were not trying, because they were carrying so much weight in the form of fear and self-doubt and unhealed wounds and limiting beliefs that a significant portion of their energy was being consumed just by the carrying. The transformation that is happening is removing that weight. And when that weight is gone, what becomes available to you in terms of energy, clarity, creativity, courage, and capacity is going to be remarkable. You are going to find yourself capable of things that currently feel out of reach. Not because you will suddenly have skills you do not have, but because the energy that was being consumed by internal weight is going to be freed up and redirected toward what you were actually created to do. Your purpose did not shrink while you were in the season of waiting and carrying. It stayed exactly the size I designed it to be, and now you are growing into it. Type 777 to declare that you are growing into the full size of the purpose God designed for your life. I want to speak about your voice because the transformation that is happening in you has a specific dimension that relates to how you speak, how you express yourself, and the impact that your words and your presence have on the people around you. You have often underestimated the weight your voice carries. You have held back opinions you had every right to share. You have softened truths that deserve to be spoken clearly. You have deferred to other voices in rooms where your perspective was exactly what was needed. And the reason was not that your voice lacked value. The reason was that the fear and the self-doubt that have been sitting over you like a cloud made it difficult to believe that what you had to say was worth the risk of saying it. That cloud is lifting. As it lifts, you are going to find your voice in a new way. Not a louder voice necessarily, but a clearer one, a more grounded one that speaks from a place of settled conviction rather than from a place of hoping you are right and bracing for the response. You are going to say things that matter, in the right rooms, at the right moments, and what you say is going to carry a weight that moves people in ways that surprise you. Your voice is part of your purpose, and it is being freed. Type yes to receive the freedom and the clarity of voice that is part of your transformation. There is a financial dimension to this transformation that I want to address directly because the internal shift always produces external evidence, and the financial area of your life is one of the places that evidence is going to show up. The version of you that is emerging thinks about money differently than the version that has been operating up until now. Not because I am giving you a new set of financial principles to follow, but because the fear-based relationship with money that the old patterns produced is being replaced with a faith-based one. And a faith-based relationship with money changes everything. It changes how you make decisions. It changes how you respond to opportunity. It changes your willingness to move when movement is required. It changes your capacity to receive without immediately being consumed by fear of losing what arrived. The transformed you approaches financial life from a place of sufficiency rather than scarcity, from a place of trust rather than anxiety, from a place of alignment with what I am doing in your life rather than from a place of desperately managing what you have out of fear of what you do not. That shift in posture toward money is going to produce different results than the old posture has been producing. Watch for it. It is already beginning. Type 333 to receive a transformed relationship with money that is built on faith rather than fear. I want to also speak to your body in the context of this transformation because the person you are becoming inhabits their physical self differently than the person you have been. The transformation that is happening internally always eventually expresses itself physically, in posture, in presence, in the way you move through a room, in the energy you carry when you walk in. You have spent years making yourself physically smaller in spaces where you felt you needed to take up less room, hunching slightly, speaking softly, positioning yourself at the edges rather than the center, not because you lacked the right to take up space, but because something in you had been convinced that your presence was somehow an imposition rather than a gift. That belief is being uprooted. The transformed you takes up the space they are meant to take up, not arrogantly, not at the expense of others, but fully, completely, with the settled knowledge that your presence in any room is not an imposition, but a contribution. You are going to stand differently, speak differently, enter spaces differently, and people are going to feel the difference even before you say a word. Your physical presence is about to become an expression of who you truly are rather than an apology for it. Type 222 to declare that you take up the space you were created to inhabit fully and without apology. As I bring this to a close, I want to paint a picture for you of the life that is on the other side of this transformation because I want you to be able to see it clearly enough to walk toward it with genuine expectation. On the other side of this transformation, you are going to wake up and recognize yourself, not in the way that has sometimes felt like a stranger looking back at you from a place of exhaustion and confusion and quiet despair, but in the way of someone who knows who they are and is at peace with the knowing. Someone whose first thoughts in the morning are not consumed by dread. Someone whose relationship with their own inner world is one of compassion rather than combat. On the other side of this transformation, you are going to move through your relationships with a clarity and a confidence that has been missing. You are going to know what you deserve, and you are going to be unwilling to accept less, not harshly, not with walls up, but with the quiet firmness of someone who has done the work of understanding their own value and will not negotiate it away. On the other side of this transformation, you are going to step into your purpose with a fullness that has not been available to you before. The gifts that have been sitting underdeveloped because fear kept you from practicing them are going to begin to flourish. The calling that has felt perpetually just out of reach is going to feel increasingly within your grasp. And the impact that your life has on the people around you is going to begin to reflect the full weight of what I placed inside you rather than the diminished version that fear and self-doubt have been producing. That life is not far. It is right on the other side of the transformation that is already underway. Type Amen if you receive the full picture of who you are becoming and declare that you will not stop this process before it is complete. You are not going to recognize yourself. And that is not a warning. That is a promise. Because the version of yourself you are about to become is so much more fully alive, so much more genuinely free, so much more completely who I always designed you to be, that the comparison between that version and the one you have been living as is going to be striking. Even you will not recognize who you have become. And you are going to love what you see,